All right, let's get it. Okay. Oops. So first question that I have for you guys today is, what do leaders value? Okay, write that down. What do leaders value? And then I want to hear some of your guys' responses. Just throw one or two things in the chat box. What are 1 to 2 things that you value from a leadership perspective? What are a couple of things that you value as a leader? Putting y'all on the spot. Okay, Alex said leading by example. Jacques said results and productivity. Okay, Marin said connections with people. All right. Let's hear it, y'all. I know it's early. What do leaders value? Eric said vision. Rachel said consistency. Crystal said time and energy. Alex said communication. I love it, guys. Appreciate y'all for participating. So what do leaders value? Yeah, I mean, all those things are great. Sam said accountability. Perfect. All those things are great. Yeah, energy. The biggest thing is, I'm going to read you guys what John Maxwell actually had wrote in one of his books. And if you listen to like any of his audios, he talks about this. But four main things that leaders value, okay? Integrity, impact and contribution, like being able to add value, growth, and commitment, okay? Integrity, impact / contribution, your ability to add value, okay? 3 is growth, your ability to grow those around you, and commitment, okay? So some of you guys said some of those things, which are great. But I wanted to kick it off with this, guys, because I'm actually not talking about this directly today. I'm leading into a topic that I think is going to be very empowering for you. I'm going to ask you guys some questions through this. Some of them will be, participate. Some of them will be rhetorical. I want you to take this home after this call and be able to reflect on it, okay? But some of the things that John Maxwell had talked about, just from reading a lot of his stuff, from some of his books, some of his audios, he talks about leadership. He talks about what leadership really is. And I want you guys to ask yourself this question, okay? How do you lead? How do you lead? Why do you want to lead? John Maxwell says why you lead and the way that you lead are important because they define you. They define your leadership, and they ultimately define your contribution. Why you lead and the way that you lead define you as a person. They define your leadership, and they ultimately define and showcase your contribution. So internally, you don't need to type in the chat, but for you, how do you lead? Some of us, maybe we've never been asked this question before, or maybe we've heard questions like this, but we haven't taken the time to reflect on this before. We haven't asked ourselves the tough questions and really sat down and wrote out our answers. And it's not even about like the answers themselves, because great leaders ask great questions, because it's the question that allows you to see a new sense of awareness, allows you to see things from a new perspective. So you're no longer seeing from maybe this limited lens. That question now opened up your perspective, the way that you see, to seeing things from new heights, okay? So how do you lead? Why do you want to lead? You guys are so consistent. You show up to these calls every single week. These are leadership-based calls. These are not conversations that we would have with just anybody, okay? Why do you want to lead people? Why do you want to lead a team? Because everybody's a leader in some way, shape, or form. Everybody has some sort of influence over other people's lives in some way, shape, or form. but what type of influence do you want to have? What does that look like? I'm just throwing some questions out here, but what does being a leader look like to you? What is being a great leader look like to you? Now, answer these after the call. I just want to start getting you guys to think in this mentality, because it's not about the answer itself. It's the evolution of who you become and the actions that you take and the results that you get from opening up questions like these. Because otherwise we're just thinking in the same way and taking the same action and reaping the same results. Okay, last question I have for you. Write this down. What is your contribution? 2 questions, a 2-part. What does your contribution so far look like? Your ability to add value. Okay, your influence so far, your impact so far. What does that look like? Okay, and an even bigger, important question is, what do you want it to look like? Start to describe that picture. Start to lay some emotions in there of how you feel and some values, core values that are important to you, that you embody. Because that's what's going to make those questions and your answers and your responses meaningful. And I'm going to get into that on this call, because if I say something, but you don't really, that's not really like super important to you, you're not going to have clarity and a desire to pursue whatever it is that you're doing here, because you're just basing it off of maybe what I'm saying. But you have to get clear on what it means to you. You have to make that connection. And I'm going to give you guys some of the breakthroughs that I have with this. But here are some examples, okay, of some of the questions I just asked you and some of the answers. How do you lead? Why do you want to lead? What does being a leader, a great leader, a consistent leader look like to you? Well, some examples of that are showing up, consistency, like your impact, your contribution. Like, a lot of people think it's having tens of thousands of dollars in your bank account, making, 6 figures in trading, making $1,000 a trade, like, having this ginormous team. That will come as you grow. That will grow as you grow. Okay. But some of the things that you can start to focus on right now is your example. What example are you setting? Are you showing up? Like, I heard somebody that I'm following now, who his name's Peter Voog. He's the one that kind of has put together the Collision Crew, that NFT collection. And he talks a lot about a few different things, but he said one thing that I was listening to. He was like, whatever you do, make sure that somebody is watching you do it, because you want to spend less time in the business and more time working on the business. And I never understood when leaders would say that. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Spend more time on the business, not in the business, because you want to create duplication. And if you're doing so many different things where you have to keep repeating yourself and your team or whoever's not watching you, or you don't have a duplicatable system or model to follow, you're not building a business, you have a job. We don't want that. So your example, what does your example look like? Showing up anytime, like I have an opportunity to show up where my team, leaders, everybody is able to see me, I'm doing so. I've got my camera on, I'm taking notes, I'm attentive, I'm focused, especially at events, especially on calls, like whatever the case is. I'm showing up, I'm consistent, perseverance. Okay. I think a lot of times, I don't know if you guys have ever thought this way, but I used to always like not want to show that I not necessarily made mistakes, but show like that I always don't hit my targets, or I always don't hit my goals, or maybe I don't have the best of results in a certain area. And I didn't really like want to show that. But your ability to be vulnerable in a way and persevere is so important. Keeping the faith through trials and tribulations, showing the people around you like that, like you want to know how you build trust in other people. You want to know how you get your team or future team to want to follow you, want to lead by your example, want to work with you, is showing them that you fall down too. But the biggest thing, that word perseverance, is continuing to get up, continuing to move forward. Okay. What does your fail forward look like? A lot of people hit a brick wall they hit a ceiling and they just stop. They don't keep persevering. They don't keep the faith. They move back in their doubt and their worry and their fear. Okay. How's your energy? Energy is so important. One of the questions I'm going to ask you guys today, asks about, like, what are you good at? And one of the things, I'm just giving you guys an example real quick. One of the things that I wrote down for myself is, I was talking to Alex about this last night, is being very efficient. Like everything that I do just naturally, I'm just very efficient with. Like, I'm not cutting corners, but I don't like to waste excess energy or excess time. Okay. How's your energy? One thing, that was the other thing, is when I show up to whatever it is, whenever I'm showing up to things, I make sure that I'm bringing the energy. I make sure that I'm showing I have effort. And it's not like, oh, I'm around the team, I got to show effort. It's like, I naturally have effort in the things that I do and I commit to. Okay. I show that I care. I have a big heart. How is your energy? Okay. Are you just going through the motions? Whatever. Are you inspiring? Are you inspirational? Okay. You can be inspirational just by doing tough things, just by doing hard things, just by having the courage and being bold to step up outside your comfort zone. A lot of y'all, I see you on Instagram, you're making posts that maybe are, outside your comfort zone. I see you. That inspires me. I'm like, dang, like, let's go. I'm ready to get my next one. Like, I saw you, I'm ready to go. If that is inspirational for me, I can't imagine what that is for other people. Okay. How are your relationships with people? Okay. Your impact, progress, your ability to document your progress. Okay. Keeping your word, and your commitments and staying accountable. Those are just a few examples. Okay. John Maxwell says the true measurement of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. A quote from his book. The true measurement of leadership is influence. Okay. Nothing more, nothing less. Everyone has some level of influence, which is why every leader should be focused on increasing not only their leadership, but their influence. And I think a big key here is, just because you have influence doesn't mean that you're a great leader. I think that's really important, because some of us, I'm not calling anybody out on this call, I'm just saying some people in general can have influence, like some of the influencers on social or whatever, but they don't have, like, they're not a great leader. And we've definitely seen people that have great influence. I'm sure you can probably think of some of the most powerful people in the world that they're not a great leader. Okay. But influence leadership is being able to have an impact on the beliefs and actions of the people that you're leading. Influence leadership is being able to have an impact on the beliefs and actions of the people that you are leading. Basically, you're able to influence people's beliefs, okay, the way that they believe, and their actions. We only do things that we believe in. Okay, you got to, as a leader, get really good at encouraging people, empowering people, instilling belief in people. People want to follow people that, they know are interested in them. Not only make them feel good, like, I'm not trying to, rainbows and butterflies all day long, but I do want to show, like, hey, like, I believe in you. I know that you can create this outcome. I know that you can hit this goal. I know that you can become this version of yourself. Okay. Okay. So that's really important. Write that down. And then what I wanted to get into, guys, kind of tying all of this in, is knowing yourself. And something that I was talking to Alex last night about, something I've been like diving into for pretty much this whole week. And I wrote, like, I have pages full, and I've been reading through this every day this week, is knowing yourself. And something that we heard on the call this past week with Christian and Mike, if you guys were on, they talked about clarity. They talked about, if you're not clear, you're confused. Okay. And a confused mind does nothing. And when we say nothing, we get distracted. We are so open to temptation and not staying on track when we're not clear. And I think something that's really important to recognize, because I'm going to break some of these questions down. When you don't know yourself, you are so, like, I'm trying to find the word. like prone. I'm missing the word. You guys know what I'm talking about. You're so prone to temptation. You are not going to be able, like, it's going to be very easy for you to go back on your word. It's going to be very easy for you to fold. It's going to be very easy for you not to show up, to not do the hard things. Okay. And I'm not talking about your why. I'm not talking about vision right now. I'm talking about knowing yourself. A lot of people think that they know themselves. Most people have no idea most people have no idea who they are. I was that person up until very, very recently. And I feel like I'm still learning, but I did not know myself. And I'm going to give you my breakthroughs at the end of this call. But I know that because I would look at successful people in my eyes. I was like, they're doing big things, or they're successful, or whatever. I'm giving y'all a little vulnerability moment for a second. And I would kind of like, this is a bad word, but I would kind of like shape shift myself. Does that make sense? To meeting like, oh, that person has this success, so I need to be that. I need to be that. Or I need to be this. I need to think this way, or I need to do it this way, or I need to have this quality, or, this is what's important to them. So this is what's important to me. You guys catch what I'm putting down? I didn't know myself. So anytime I saw somebody that had success or whatever, or maybe was doing better than me or had results faster than me, very toxic, like not good. Okay. I would immediately like start to look at them with jealousy and envy in my heart of like, dang, I didn't get that. I wasn't able to hit that like you did. Or, maybe what you value is what I'm supposed to value. Y'all drop some twos in the chat. Are y'all with me? Like, I only see Sam nodding his head like this. Yeah, I got you, Abby. I got you. Are y'all with me? Like, this is so important. I cannot begin to tell you. I know y'all probably just taking notes or you're just listening intently. I got you. But this was such a monumental like breakthrough moment for me, because, and maybe you're going to have your own separate breakthrough moment where you're like, okay, this is what I got from this, or this is what I realized, or this is what awareness, broke through for me. But I can tell you, when you are not clear on what you value, when you're not clear on what's important to you or what you're good at, okay, I'm not even talking about vision or why. That is separate from this. Okay, it's that saying, if you don't believe in something, you're gonna fall for anything. Okay, if you don't know yourself, you're gonna try to find yourself in everybody else. And the best part about what we do here in anything in life, if you want to create success in anything, you have to know you. You have to show up as your unique self. Okay. You have to be you. And I realized this week. Some of you guys, I know some of you guys were on the Thursday Zoom overview that we did. The overview that I know Alex kicked us off, super proud of you. And I ran the overview. I'm sharing this with you for perspective purposes. But I realized at the end of that call, I felt so like not good, like, oh yeah, I feel good. I know, like, I felt like I did good in that call. It was like a knowing. I was like, no, like I know not only I crushed it, I knew the information, but like I was myself on the presentation. And you can just tell when somebody's giving you an overview or a talk or whatever, when they're being themselves versus when they're trying too hard to do whatever. So that was like kind of a breakthrough moment, and you won't know that until you start to do things where you can be yourself. Okay. So I want to give you guys a few questions to help you get clear on who you are, because when you're clear on who you are and you're operating in that awareness, it's not even like a state of being. It's just, you just know who you are. Okay. You're clear on it. You are now able, like you've unlocked the ability to operate at your best. Okay. At your most energetic, focused, diligent, and resourceful level of being when you are clear on who you are. Okay. So 2 things, you want to write this down. I'm gonna share my screen so you guys can see. But 2 things that we're going to get clear on today are what you value and what you're good at. Let me move this down. All right, let me share this here with you guys. All right, let's do this. Okay, clear on two things: what you value and what you're good at. Okay. The first question I have for you guys, and these are rhetorical. You don't need to type it in the chat or anything. This is for you. This is for you to really take time after this call and this weekend and this next week to really get clear on these questions. So let me give you guys some perspective. The NFT that I just bought into this past week, which I'm not even going to get into NFTs on this call. Like, I didn't realize how Alex has been telling me this whole time, like, you need to pay attention, you need to watch, this go live session. I'm like, I know. But then when you buy an NFT, then when you start to make your first trade, like, for some reason I was like, okay, I'm invested. I need to understand. I need to know. So I went through Nick's whole NFT bootcamp. Like, I'm going through Mike and Kurt's stuff. And I was like, I need to understand what I'm doing on a deeper level. Anyways, the guy who put together Coalition Crew, I went through the NFT checklist that, Nick goes over on his bootcamp and everything. And one thing that he put together that you get access to when you get one of his cheetahs is this Game Changers Academy. It's like this academy for entrepreneurs, but the thing is, the academy itself is like $25,000. So because you have the access to the NFT, you get access to his academy just by having an NFT, which I was like, I'll hang on to. This was an investment. Like, I know that was a lot of ETH. It was like I think we put down like a whole ETH for one of his cheetahs. I was like, that was an investment. Even if I don't flip it, even if I don't break even, I was like, I'm already gaining so much from that. But what I'm trying to give you guys is one of his first things that he says. I'm going to give you guys these questions, but one of the first things that he says on his videos is the worst thing that people do, especially in business and in entrepreneurship and things like that, is we go into this consumption learn mode where we aren't trying to master the information. We're just trying to consume and learn. And there's no there's no results. And I'm not going to get into it on this call today. I'll probably save it for a different call, but I want you guys to just keep that in mind. He's coming from a place of like, we're going to self-master ourselves, know how we operate, know how we function, so you can promote and show up as your best version because you're clear on what you care about, on what's important to you, on what you value, and you're also aware and acting on what you're good at, okay? Especially in the space that we're in. So I just want to give you guys that perspective. So what is important to you? That's the first question. What is important to you? What do you value? Okay. And what I would write down are three. So he said, write down like a list of 10 and then narrow it down to like, he said 5. And then he was like, I want you to now narrow it down to three core values. Okay. What are 3 things that are important to you? And I'll read this to you. He says, this is who you are at your core and when you are most focused and resourceful. Okay. These values are what make you do things that are hard. What make you do, basically, I'm sorry, I wrote this really weird. Make you do the hard things. Okay. They make you do things that are often not easy to do. These are what define you. Okay. He also says this is like your moral compass. What keeps you kind of guided. And, they always say, what's the best decision? Look, there's no right or wrong best decision. I mean, there are in certain situations, but most of the time in entrepreneurship and business, it's not about making the right or wrong decision. It's about making a decision and then making it right. Okay. So what is important to you? What do you value? Get clear on that. Write 3. You can write a list and then get clear on 3. Okay. Second thing, what are 3 words? This was really good. This was actually, I don't know why I like came up with it very quickly, but for you, maybe it might be a little bit more difficult. But what are 3 words to describe your philosophy on living? Okay. 3 words to describe your philosophy on living. Okay. That is number 2. Okay. Number 3, what are 3 qualities in your ideal business partner? And this was really good too, because these are qualities, these are characteristics, okay? These are not values, because values can be different. What I would say with qualities and characteristics, whatever you write down, make sure that you own those too, okay? If you write down coachable, well, make sure that you're coachable. It's kind of like a significant other, life partner, whatever. You got to make sure that you also are bringing the sauce, whatever you write down for that, as well. But what are 3 qualities that you want to see in your ideal business partner? And this is super important too, because a lot of times we're just kind of talking to everybody, and we don't know like what we need to recognize in that person to say, hey, like they qualify to be, rocking with me. Okay. They have the things that I'm looking for. 4th, this is a 2-part question. I want you to visualize your dream day. Your dream day. Imagine your dream day. What happens? What happened on that day? Okay. And what are 3 emotions / 3 values that describe that experience? Visualize your dream day. What does that look like? What happens? Okay. And what are 3 emotions and, values? So just 3 things. It's kind of a, 1 and 2, 3 emotions / values that describe that experience. This one it was a tough one. And then Alex was like, well, this is for you. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. And then it was like, okay, let me describe this, but get clear on this for you. Okay. And then the last question, what are 3 core values that you want people to think about when they think about you? This is really important. What are 3 core values that you want people to think about when they think of you, your life, and your business? Okay. Your business. When I think of business, when I equate the word business, I think of the problem that I am solving. I think of the impact that I'm making, my ability to serve and lead and contribute. What are 3 core values that you want people to think about when they think of you, your life, and your business? Okay. These are 5 questions. I think he gave us like 20 questions, like very particular, very detailed, tough questions. Like they were tough. I was sitting there for like a long time, just back and forth, coming back to my notes, coming back to my desk, just writing, thinking, putting things down on paper and things like that. So don't feel like you need to rush through this, but I will tell you, don't wait forever to write your answers down. Okay. Don't let this go on till the end of May. I would take some time over this weekend to really get clear on this, because it's only going to help you understand, who you are and gain that clarity. And I think the biggest thing that this does is it gives you that sense of awareness of how, like, not only how, like, yeah, like how you should be doing things that align with who you are. Okay. So, I'm going to stop the recording real quick because I'm going to have a couple things to share.